what roles think tanks have continued to play in the development agenda of their respective countries around the world, the Policy Monitoring and Research Center, with support from the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Zambia, convened an Africa-China Think Tanks Forum as an avenue in which Africa think tanks could share ideas and lessons on how the continent can achieve its development agenda, while harnessing opportunities that come with its relationship with the outside world. Many may ask, why choose Africa-China Economic Development Agenda, Opportunities for Belt and Road Initiative and FOCAC, as the theme for the forum? This theme was birthed from the realization that China has continued to grow relations in Africa with different countries through the FOCAC and BRI initiative. Therefore, it was prudent as African think tanks to convene and come up with one position best suited for the continent's relationship with China. The 2 days event saw the participation of representations from think tanks, regional organizations, research institutions, academia, United Nations agencies, and governments from 10 countries within and outside Africa. The Africa-China Think Tanks Forum was officially opened by Minister of National Development Planning, Honorable Alexander Chiteme MP, on behalf of His Excellency, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. The official opening of the forum was graced by 2 former Zambian presidents, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda and Mr. Rupia Bwezani Banda.
And delighted that I stand before all of you today to grace this occasion on behalf of His Excellency, the President of this Republic, His Excellency Edgar Chagwa Lungu, the President of the country. This occasion of the Africa-China Think Tank Forum that is being held under the umbrella of Africa-China Economic Development Agenda, Opportunities for the Belt and Road Initiative, and FOCAC. Zambia is indeed proud to host this event, which is undeniably an assembly of great minds and thinkers coming from diverse backgrounds to exchange ideas aimed at enhancing the China-Africa relationship. I therefore wish to commend the organizers and other partners who have contributed in a way or another to ensure that this event takes place. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for Zambia, this forum is timely considering that this year we are commemorating the 55th anniversary of the establishment of Zambia-China diplomatic relationships, as well as the commemoration of the Zambia-China Cultural Year. Over the years, China has continued to be an all-weather friend to Zambia, providing support in all sectors, with notable projects include the Tazara, which has already been spoken by many speakers before me, the new government complex, the National Museum, Levi Mwanawasa Stadium and Hospital, housing units for the Defense Forces, the National Heroes Stadium, construction of roads and milling plants, as well as development of international airports, to mention but a few. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, China is a friend to many. In September 2018, I attended the 2019 Forum on Africa Summit FOCAC in Beijing, which yielded positive outcomes for Zambia and the rest of Africa. The Beijing Declaration, the 2019-2021 FOCAC African Plan, and the 8th FOCAC initiative announced by His Excellency Xi Jinping, President of the Republic of China, during the summit are designed for a win-win cooperation. This is in the line of industrial promotion, infrastructure connectivity, trade facilitation, green development, capacity building, healthcare, people-to-people exchange, and peace and security. It is now my singular honor and pleasure to officially declare the Africa-China Think Tank Forum officially opened. I wish you all fruitful deliberations and a pleasant stay in Zambia for those of you who are visiting this country for the first time. May you experience the true warmth and hospitality of our Zambian people. I thank you and may God bless you.
Minister of Finance, Honorable Margaret Monakatwe, as PMRC Board Chairman, Chinese Ambassador to Zambia, His Excellency Li Ji, and PMRC Executive Director Benedict Deka Zulu gave opening remarks highlighting reasons for convening the forum and what outcomes the 2 days forum aim to achieve.
I am pleased that in this room today we have the sum total of 17 countries, and I want to recognize some of them: Sierra Leone, Kenya, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Djibouti, Uganda, Malawi, Sudan, and the Chinese think tanks represented. Good morning to all of you. May I begin by welcoming all to this very significant event, dubbed the Africa-China Think Tanks Forum, under the theme Africa-China Economic Agenda, Opportunities for the Road and Belt Initiative and FOCA, and the sub-theme Rebranding Africa as a Premier Destination. Your Excellencies and distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the African Union adopted Agenda 2063 as a roadmap for continental development by aligning thinking from across the continent and distilling the vision in a set of aspirations. A snapshot of the 7 aspirations of the Vision 2063 includes: 1. A prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. 2. An integrated continent, politically united and based on the ideals of Pan-Africanism and the vision of Africa's Renaissance. 3. An Africa of good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law. 4. A peaceful and secure Africa. 5. An Africa with a strong cultural identity, a common heritage, shared values and ethics. 6. An Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of African people, especially its women and its youth, and caring for children. And 7. Africa as a strong, united, and influential global player and partner. Permit me to quote His Excellency, President Xi Jinping, who said, "No matter how the international situation changes and to what stage China develops, China will, as always, stand with all developing countries, including African countries, and be a sincere friend and reliable partner of Africa." End quote. We envisage continued Chinese influence on the African continent, both in terms of trade and investment. Today, we are living in this reality as Africa is united towards common interests that will benefit our people and also ensure a shared future with China. I thank you and wish you all very open and objective deliberations. Thank you very much.
First of all, please let me extend my congratulations to Honorable Minister, Chairman of PMRC, and Ms. Deka Zulu, Executive Director of PMRC, for hosting such a significant forum. For the Embassy of China, it's really a great honor for us to attend this forum together with distinguished guests from many circles of the community and also all over Africa. The Belt and Road Initiative and FOCAC are now becoming the focus of global attention, and they have also become 2 major platforms for China-Africa and China-Zambia practical cooperation. Last month, the second Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation was successfully held in Beijing. World leaders and participants reached broad consensus on high-quality cooperation of the BRI. Next month, a conference on the implementation of the outcomes of FOCAC Beijing Summit will be held in China to follow up with the 8 major initiatives. In this regard, the convening of this forum is at the right time. The forum indeed reflects the importance that Zambia attaches to the development of China-Africa relations and the promotion of practical cooperation. Here now, on behalf of the Chinese Embassy in Zambia, I sincerely thank you all for coming. Having an insight into the overall international situation, His Excellency President Xi Jinping of China put forward the Belt and Road Initiative. It is a Chinese approach to meet common challenges and improve global economic governance, with the goal of pushing all countries to strengthen synergies between their development strategies, shed light on connectivity, deepen political cooperation, and achieve common development. President Xi Jinping pointed out that high-quality development is the goal of direction of the BRI. High quality means to combine the advantages of all parties into a joint force through bilateral cooperation, tripartite cooperation, and multilateral cooperation. The BRI and FOCAC are not traps, not debt traps or not financial traps, but pies. China is ready to work with Zambia and Africa to synergize the construction of the BRI, implement the Beijing FOCAC Summit, along with Zambia's 7th National Development Plan and the EU's 2063 Agenda, and push forward China-Africa practical cooperation. Finally, please let me wish this forum a complete success. I thank you all.
I sincerely welcome you all to the 2019 Africa-China Think Tanks Forum, whose main theme is Africa-China Economic Development Agenda, opportunities for the Belt and Road Initiative, and FOCAC, aimed at rebranding Africa as a premier destination for investment, trade, and economic development. This forum presents an opportunity for think tanks from Africa and China to interact and brainstorm on the appropriate course of direction that will guarantee a successful economic trajectory for the people of Africa and for the people of China. The Belt and Road Initiative, as an initiative of the People's Republic of China, offers great opportunities for infrastructure development and investment opportunities in over 60 countries across Europe, Asia, and Africa. And Zambia recently adhered to signing the Memorandum of Understanding at the last FOCAC in Beijing. And to this effect, therefore, a forum such as this one presents a grand opportunity for Africans and Chinese to agree on how such resources could be exploited for the mutual benefit of the people of Africa, the mutual benefit for the people of Africa and China who share similar experiences of poverty and development. We need to rebrand Africa with a sense of urgency and passion that signifies belonging to a rich continent. This forum will contribute to making resolutions of how Africa should rebrand itself. Africa's branding should contribute materially to solidifying combining, projecting, and driving the positive elements that are bringing about the current optimistic outlook and attract the much needed foreign direct investment. Allow me to state that PMRC has since inception been offering guidance and policy support to government, ministries, parliament, and other government agencies based on high-quality evidence-based research. And the track record of impact of PMRC works speaks volumes and has resulted in implementation of important policy interventions for economic and social development. PMRC has set the framework for success by walking the talk in the agriculture, energy, and socio-economic sectors through the following interventions. Naming a few. We have conducted sensitization programs on the 7th National Development Plan countrywide and its implementation, which is an ongoing program depicted in the Volume 2 of the National Development Plan itself. Regular economic review and performance updates to the nation in consultation with the Ministries of Finance, Ministry of Commerce, and the Ministry of National Development Planning, which is our mother ministry as a think tank. Energy sector policy reform dating back from 2014 to 2019 and still going. A special thanks especially goes to all national and international delegates and participants, the likes of Dr. Diawara, who is also the chairman of the Africa Think Tanks Association, is also here. Allow me to urge everyone to take a leading role in the different discussions as much as possible through the various presentations and panels discussion as we construct resolutions that will effectively actualize benefits of the Belt and Road Initiative, together with resolutions aimed at making Africa most preferred global investment hub and an envy of the world. Yes, Africa is alive as a premier investment destination for the world, and together we'll succeed. I thank you very much.
The format of the forum included keynote speeches, presentations, panel of discussions, and plenary. The keynote speeches on the first day of the event were given by the first Republican President, His Excellency Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, in the capacity of African icon.
One Zambia. One nation. Your Excellency, Mr. Pierre Bozan-Banda, fourth President of the Republic of Zambia, Cabinet Ministers present, Your Excellency, the Chinese Ambassador to Zambia, Permanent Secretary, Secretaries present, cooperating partners and members of Diplomatic Corps, PMRC Executive Director, Mrs. Bernadette Zulu, senior government officials, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege for me to speak on behalf of Africans to advance Pan-Africanism in the light of Africa's relations with China this morning. One Africa, one nation, one economic revolution is the goal, and has always been the goal. The steps towards achieving this lies in doing exactly what you have gathered here to do. If we do this, then we shall make good use of the golden opportunities that will invariably come our way. It is rare to find a superpower which believes in engaging similar or less powerful nations on the basis of genuine equality and win-win outcomes. Much of what we have achieved as Africans was only possible in no small way because of China's cooperation with us. In unity lies our strength. Africa needs to broaden and deepen her engagement with China. I wish you well as we deliberate and shall pray for your success. But we are already late. Therefore, we must not just walk, we must run. Bring our dream into reality. I thank you, and may the good Lord God Almighty continue to bless all of you. Amen.
The first presentation on the first day was made by Dr. Barasu Diawara, the knowledge management expert at African Capacity Building Foundation in Zimbabwe and the current coordinator for the African Think Tanks Network. The panel of discussants included Dr. Hamid El-Bashir Abrahim, UNICEF Country Representative, Sierra Leone, Mrs. Bernadette Deka Zulu, Executive Director for the Policy Monitoring and Research Center, Mr. Francis Hale, Director, Policy Advocacy and Communications at Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources Policy Analysis Network in South Africa, and Ms. Chenai Makumba, Center Coordinator for Consumer Unity Trust, CATS. Dr. Diawara made a presentation on the role of think tanks in spearheading the African Development Agenda. In his presentation, Dr. Diawara pointed out the important role that think tanks play in the development agenda of many countries around the world, what challenges these think tanks face, and the need to assist think tanks in their operation in order for them to offer meaningful recommendations necessary for development.
Think tanks actually do play a very important role in spearheading development agendas. So now the question is, what is the case for African think tanks? What experience do we have in spearheading Africa's development agenda? And more importantly, how can we support think tanks to better play their role in that sense? Because think tanks should not be just left alone. They need kind of support. What kind of support is actually needed?
During the plenary session, a number of issues were raised, but most important was the recommendation by Dr. Hamid El-Bashir Abrahim, who argued on the need for think tanks to ensure that while offering recommendations on the development of economies, there is need to ensure that the lives of children are at the center of those recommendations. Mr. Francis Hale reiterated the need for think tanks to spearhead research that is beneficial to the development of the continent.
This issue is very timely actually at this juncture for Africa, which is still struggling with major development issues. I'm specialized on issues of children, on issues of human development, and I cannot see economic development without having this human development perspective. I would like to see African think tanks, when they think about the development of Africa, they should always put the social and the political perspective and the human perspective in mind. So I would love to see African think tanks have this paradigm shift in our thinking of economic development without really accommodating the social and the human development aspect.
Beyond that, we explain statutory instruments to people, and we use obviously radio and newspapers, and for us really it has been a strong communication strategy that has put PMRC forward, because we have the core business of the institution, which is to complement and supplement government's efforts in public policy reforms, and we cannot do it together with the general populace if they do not understand what this government policy is all about.
If you go to a private sector environment, anyone in marketing tells you they meet the market the way the market comes to them. You don't design to go to the market the way that you want when the market is structured differently. So our market is think tanks, our national governments, the regional governments, and the continental body. If we do not understand those stakeholders who form our market, it becomes a problem.
Now, speaking specifically to the point you've just raised, I think the role of think tanks was, quite lucidly explained in the presentation. I think there's a number of different ways in which think tanks should be speaking to sort of policy influencing. And I think there's a lot to learn by collaborating. And I think your question was asking, how can African think tanks potentially be engaging with think tanks in China in a way that is most helpful for policy influencing.
The second topic on the first day was presented by Mr. Chao Min on the China-Africa opportunities of the Belt and Road Initiative and the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC. The presentation highlighted that BRI has the potential to increase road network in Africa and Asia, and that the infrastructure development has the potential to set the trajectory for development in Africa.
Today is China-Africa opportunity of the Belt and Road Initiative for Forum on China-African Cooperation, FOCAC, and there is the full potential. As we all know, China Belt and Road Initiative aim to build a trade and infrastructure network connecting Asia with Europe and Africa alone and beyond. The ancient Silk Road trade routes since 2,000 years ago. This trade network will combine dynamic economic corridors traversing Asia, Europe, and Africa, creating a regional production chain of advanced manufacturing and innovation, furnished by first world infrastructure network across these regions. The BRI is bold, ambitious, with enormous potential to reshape global trade and investment costs, and if complementing the development strategy of countries involved, leveraging off their respective strengths, boost living standard.
Topic 2 was discussed by a panel of discussants that included Dr. Michael Molikita, Dean of School of Social Sciences, Mulungushi University, Dr. Jerome Kawesha, PMRC Board Member, Mr. Clement Kasonde, Lecturer, School of Business, Mulungushi University, Dr. Luvinda Harazoka, President of Economic Association of Zambia, and Mr. Beit Fu. The discussants presented that the China-Africa relations should ensure promotion of research and development, as it is essential in sustainability of investments being made in various sectors.
We're going to draw something key out of these initiatives. We have to start investing in research and development. We may hold as many forums, discussions, but for as long as we are not investing in research and development as a country, as a continent, we won't achieve much.
Dr. Michael Molikita mentioned that TAZARA can play an important role in BRI.
Railway can play a very important role in the context of the Belt and Road Initiative.
Mr. Clement Kasonde shared that think tanks are essential in development of any country. Therefore, governments should engage think tanks in interrogating what is good for Africa in the China development model.
A good model, not only for China, but for Africa, and particularly Zambia. But what I can only say is that whereas this model is or appear to be a good one for Zambia, we need also for Africa, we need to interrogate it. And economists have now agreed that we need to come up with the country-specific development agenda which addresses the issues facing each particular country.
The discussants agreed that BRI should not be misunderstood as free grants, but should be understood as an opportunity for investing in industrialization and good road network essential for business. The third topic was, is Africa on the rise or falling? And what economic opportunities and challenges exist and how do we overcome them? It was presented by Mr. Joab Okanda, Financing for Development and Inequality Advisor at Oxfam, Kenya, and discussed by a panel of discussants that included Professor Oliver Sasa, Development Consultant and Rhodes Scholar, Dr. Fanuel Kenala Bokosi, Executive Director, Afrodad, Zimbabwe, Engineer Kumbukilani Piri, Mr. Benedict Musengele, Senior Research Fellow at COMESA, and Professor Sumbie Kapema, Dean, School of Business, Copperbelt University. The presentation highlighted that Africa is rising in terms of GDP, but Africans are not rising as there is too much poverty and a huge disease burden for Africans. It also mentioned that the tax to GDP ratio is declining.
So, the economic growth, the statistics show that Africa has actually been rising, and all of us can see that. Between 2001 and 2010, you can see that among the top 10 fastest growing economies, the ones in yellow were in Africa. Between 2011 and 2015, you can see how many African countries were among the top 10 fastest growing economies.
The presentation also highlighted that in order to ensure growth, Africa needed to invest in new deals for rural Africa, strengthening economic diversification and moving from rhetoric to action on DRM and regional and economic integration. It further mentioned that, most importantly, BRI negotiations should border around investment in human capabilities. Addressing the demographic divide and climate financing are key. The discussants presented that Africa is rising on a negative front, such as rising poverty levels and maternal mortality. Indices such as GDP as a yardstick for measuring development does not speak the truth for Africa. Therefore, there is need for Africa to redefine what development means for them.
Economic factors.
But the fundamental point is here. When we talk about rising, we usually use indices that may not speak to the realities of Africa. If you look at GDP growth as a yardstick of determining whether Africa is rising, in growth terms, you immediately say, yes, we are growing. But then, aren't you surprised that while everybody is telling us that Africa is growing among the 10 fastest growing economies in the world, in the same breath, we are boasting of having the largest number of poor people?
Professor Oliver Sasa said, therefore, the solution lies in ensuring that trade between China and Africa is complementary and supplementary with promotion of intra-Africa trade. Dr. Fanuel Kenala Bokosi said Africa is on the rise because there are more opportunities than challenges. For example, there is an opportunity for Africa to access loans from China to fund projects that they could not access from the West.
Here is my view. Africa has an opportunity in China because China offers an alternative. And it is up to us how we use that alternative or not.
Engineer Kumbukilani Piwi mentioned that Africa should open up to more FDI, and just like China, Africa should harness what they have and open economic zones.
So we need to identify what we need. China identified the need. They needed investment, they needed everything, and they knew where they wanted to take it. Are we doing the same?
The delegates were treated to some entertainment by the Amaombe dance troupe and the Zambia Wushu Martial Arts Act. On the evening of the first day of the event, the delegates were officially welcomed to a cocktail at Hotel Intercontinental, which was the official venue for the forum.
The third stanza, one land and one nation is our cry. One land and one continent is now our cry. Dignity and peace. Dignity and peace neath Zambia's sky. We're saying dignity and peace neath Africa's sky. Like our noble eagle in its flight, Zambia, praise to thee. Africa, praise to thee. All one, strong and free. Thank you for coming today. But I want to also take Dr. Dariwala to task, because when he was praising everybody just now, he missed out the politicians. Didn't we do a great job this morning? Thank you. But it's a great honor to be here with the 17 countries that are here tonight, and that have spent the day brainstorming, thinking, looking at how Africa and China can work better together to ensure that nobody is left behind, to ensure that this resource that Africa has is actualized, and we take our youth, our women, and our country to the next level. And I believe at the end of tomorrow, we are going to come up with a communique and a document that all of us can positively and effectively use. So,
China enjoys a cordial relationship with our African brothers and sisters, and we see the support from the convening of this forum that the topics, issues concerning China-Africa cooperation is always on the agenda of many countries. I therefore would like to extend once again the Euro support from the Chinese Embassy here in Zambia to be a partner of cooperation with PMRC, and will be very much ready to render our cooperation with friends from different circles of this country.
During the dinner, the coordinator for the African Think Tanks Network, Dr. Baraso Diawara, gave a vote of thanks on behalf of African delegates to the conveners of the forum for the great initiative and to the participants for their positive response to the forum.
Mine is just actually to actually take the voice of all the participants. Actually, I've talked to 110 people, asking them what they think about the event so far. I think the event today had around 120 people. I could not interview the 10 people. The 10 people that left was actually staff from PMRC. But the 110 people told me that number one, PMRC has done a great job, excellent job. They asked me they request that you should really applaud for the excellent job done, starting from the planning of the event till the delivery of the first day. So it was a success. The delegation is actually happy with the program. Actually, if you look at the content for the first day at least, you could see how interactive it was. The time management was also excellent. The panelists did well. The moderator also did well. So day one, we could say that it was a success because we've ticked on almost all the signposts. If it was a dashboard, I think they're all green. So in the name of the all participants, coming from outside Zambia, but also those coming within the country, I would like to express my gratitude to PMRC and also our Chinese colleagues who have actually helped to support this event, but also to the management of PMRC. The same way, through my voice, we would like again to raise the concern made by the Executive Director this morning, saying that PMRC need more support. Please consider that as seriously, because the way they pull actually this event is a demonstration that it's a think tank that needs to be supported further to do better.
On behalf of the Chinese, Dr. Liu Haifang gave a vote of thanks to PMRC for the great initiative and the Chinese Embassy for supporting the initiative.
So in this way, I want to say this is a very important to have this kind of opportunity to learn from each other, to work with each other. I think the importance is very obvious now. Thanks to everyone, and then to have such a great event is such an opportunity as a Chinese Africanist to be able to learn much more. And at such a shorter period of time, I can, in such a way, to learn so much from all of you.